Hearing no objection, Councilor Braden is added. The chair recognizes Councilor Bok.
Thank you so much. And thank you. You know, it's a few days before May. Often we do these in the actual month, but since I'm not going to be here for the first May meeting, I wanted to make sure to recognize National Historic Preservation Month and shout out to the Boston Preservation Alliance and really say what an important thing I think it is for a city like Boston to take historic preservation really seriously. It wasn't that long ago that, you know, when they built this building, the assumption was that we were going to knock down Old City Hall because we didn't need it anymore. And it was only actually by some pretty belated everybody pulling together that that building was saved over on School Street. And I think about how much it means to us to still have it, and actually we'll be going a little bit later after the meeting. I've invited all of my colleagues to join me over at the Old State House, which is also Old City Hall. It was the City Hall from 1830 to 1840. You know, I just think that those built markers are really important to chronicling a city's history. But in particular, one of the things that we've been talking about more and more over the last few years is the importance of making sure that we're really doing historic preservation for all of our communities. And that we're preserving the really important sites and markers for our Black communities, our immigrant communities, the stories that don't get told as much. Even when we're talking about Revolutionary War stuff, we've got as much, if not more, revolutionary history in Dorchester, Roxbury, Hyde Park in this city as we do downtown. And those haven't always been the stories that we've told and the sites that we've highlighted. And so, you know, as we move towards America's 250th, in 2026, and then the city's 400th in 2030. I think it's, you know, really important for Boston to remember that one of the things that makes us different from a lot of American cities is our history. And it's part of what draws tourists here, and it's part of what gives us as a city our sense of identity. And we want that identity to be really inclusive, and we want there to be resources for historic preservation, again, in all of our neighborhoods. So I just wanted to put a few things kind of on the record and on the agenda on that front. So one of them is, you know, I think there really needs to be a look in again at Article 85. That's the demolition delay piece, and it's come up again and again in this chamber because it's very frustrating for all concerned right now. It starts a 90-day clock, but from a developer perspective, it tends to just be like another added layer of time wasting, and then from the preservation community, it's not really affecting what it's supposed to, which is a real effort to do adaptive reuse and look at how to save a building. So I think there's a real opportunity to rethink that. And I also think that as the city rethinks Article 80, there's an opportunity to unpack Article 80 in a way that actually really pushes folks towards adaptive reuse and thinks about the ways in which we can put our wonderful buildings that hold so many of our city's memories to great new uses. And I know in my neighborhood, a lot of the affordable housing on Beacon Hill is actually in old schools of the cities. And so thinking about, you know, it's not about preserving everything in amber and nothing changes. The city's got to grow and the city's got to have new uses, but thinking about really proactively, how do we have resources for that? The other thing is it's come up, how do we make it so that more folks in all of our communities can apply for CPA, historic preservation grants, and that those don't just go to folks where you already have an endowment and a board around a building. So more technical assistance on that is something I know that Thadeen and her team have started to work on. I think there's still an argument for a real citywide historic survey so that we actually go out proactively and look at the important resources in all of our neighborhoods instead of relying on the squeaky wheels. And I think that kind of inclusive commemoration related to these upcoming anniversaries can help us get there. So I just wanted to highlight that set of things because May is a historic preservation month to celebrate all the things we have preserved in Boston, but there's lots more work to do, and I think it's very important to upholding the city's history and really telling all of our stories, our Indigenous stories, our Black stories, our immigrant stories. Boston has always been that kind of rich tapestry all the way back. So thank you, Mr. President, and I would ask for the council's support in suspension and passage of this resolution today.
Thank you, Councilor Bok.